Hey everyone, happy Wednesday and welcome to this Pathway of Pleasure live. Oh my goodness. I think I missed you guys last week and I am back and I'm really happy to be here with you. I wanted to share some music with you. I should have had this prepared, shouldn't I have? Okay, here we go. Before all my coaching calls, we always dance. Here we go.
Let me know if you ain't got that NSFW. Now it's safe to finish what we started. First impression of you is you really like the party. Swirling all up on you cause you know I wanna dance. Let me cordially
Let your
invite
body
you to this
move.
party in my pants. How you got me
Get some
smoking those
energy
sorry in
in.
advance. Show me your time, just the
Vitality.
witness on your hands. Who's your designer? Is that birthday suit one of a kind? Everything about you look like it's on purpose. God was working probably to turn at your time though. Hey, all up in my curves like a puzzle piece. To get started, let me see how my soul sees. After we fuck, I'ma wanna cuddle. We can take it to the kitchen. I'll be on the island.
Let yourself play.
How do I keep this on? How do I let you know? Boy, you deserve a shot. Deserve to get comfortable. It's only natural. I could tell when you locked the door just what was going on. Boy, can we take a follow?
Awesome. So today I would love to talk about our estrogen, our vulvas as we get older. And as a menopausal woman, this issue is really near and dear to my heart. And I think it's also an issue that a lot of women do not know about, especially women who are still having their monthly cycles, because there's so much that you can actually start doing in your earlier years, in your 30s, early 40s, before perimenopause starts to come on board, to prepare your body for menopause. And let me tell you that menopause, for me anyways, I know there's women who suffer a lot during menopause, and you know, I've had my night sweats and things like that, but with just natural supplementation, I tried to do some estrogen bioidentical things there, but that was not really good for my body. So I stopped that and just altering my lifestyle, things I eat, and also supplementing other functions of my body. I feel that I've had a really easier time transitioning from monthly cycles through perimenopause into menopause. And menopause is so very freeing, because you don't get, you can't get pregnant. So it really takes a lot of inhibition out. And I'm going to talk a little bit about inhibition and estrogen in this time that we have together. So so perimenopause usually happens around age 45, and I actually went in a little bit earlier, and menopause really early. I believe I'm 54, and I still have friends who are my age and they still have their monthly cycles on and off. They haven't gone that 12 months without without a cycle to be declared menopause. So estrogen is extremely important, an extremely important hormone in a woman's body. So it's the hormone that lubricates your vagina. It makes the vulva nice and plump with blood flow, especially around ovulation. It's the hormone that hypes up your sexual desire, because your body's like, oh, I want to have a baby. I need to procreate right now, and you need to get yourself out there and get me out there, so this happens. So this hormone is a instinctual hormone that increases our sexual desire. It prepares our body for penetration. So it's a very beneficial hormone when you are actually in the the childbearing years, and also out of it because it still adds lubrication to the tissues in the vagina again, and increases your sexual desire. So that is one of the main complaints I get from clients is, I don't have any sexual desire anymore. I guess I'm just never ever gonna have sex again. Like, I don't desire it. It actually hurts now as I'm getting older. And that is, it's actually a physical truth, because when the vulva is not lubricated, penetration can cause tears and fissures, which are very painful. And who wants to have sex when they know it's going to be painful? So then your desire to have sex goes down. So those two things are correlated. And it has to do with the decrease of estrogen as we go into perimenopause and menopause as that final stage of our cycles. So one thing that I use, and I just naturally was um, guided toward it, is for lubrication. And I was just using it for lubrication during intercourse, was coconut oil. And I was also using it as a moisturizer, because it smells good, and it's pretty cheap to get, and there's no added chemicals in it. So I felt really confident putting it on the sacred tissues of my yoni. I did not know that coconut oil is also antimicrobial, and it's really good to use on your vulva and your perineum daily, because what happens sometimes to women as estrogen is decreasing is, like I said, that they could start having painful sex, and then they don't want to have sex anymore. And there is a truth to the phrase, use it or lose it. So when the vagina is not getting any sort of penetration, the muscle can start to atrophy. And vaginal vulva atrophy is a very painful condition that some women suffer from. And it comes from the lack of use of the vagina, and also the tone, the lack of tone, the lack of strength of the pelvic floor muscles. When the vagina is not penetrated anymore, it could actually start to close. But the good news about the vagina, if you think about, like, in childbirth, what happens? I mean, it's a beautiful organ that expands for a child to come through, and then it actually contracts as the woman is healing after birth. So the same thing happens, like if the vagina is not being used and she starts to atrophy a little bit, there are things that you can do to reverse that. And one of the simple ways to do is with the coconut oil and massaging the perineum, which is the underside of your pelvic floor muscles. It's the space between the vagina and the anus. This is the area that, when women, again, giving birth, are encouraged to start massaging, and also during their labor, encouraged to keep massaging this area to make it more supple, more flexible. You've heard of episiotomies. This is usually what it needs to be cut when this tissue is really tight and contracted during labor, and it can't open up, for the vagina opening to become bigger. So a lot of times the midwife or the doctor needs to cause an episiotomy and cut that, which I have actually had to personal experience of. And about 20 21 years ago now, and I actually just recently, I think, completed my healing of that procedure on my body. Not physically. Physically, I healed, right away, but emotionally, energetically, was holding a lot of trauma in that area. So it's nothing that I would like to wish upon somebody to go through that. So the same thing happens. You can use that perineum massage in your perimenopause, in menopausal women, to start to open and relax the vaginal opening. And that's why I like to bring in, the jade egg practices on a continuous basis, because even though you might not be having penis and vagina intercourse, maybe you're not with a partner, or if your partner is also dealing with some sexual issues, or if you're in a lesbian couple, you 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 need to continue penetrating the vagina, whether it's through dildos, whether the jade egg, crystal wands, even manual penetration, just to keep the muscles from atrophying and getting really tight and having sex just really, really hurt. So it's something that you can do for yourself very easily. There's also, and I think some urologists might prescribe this, or other sex doctors would be, they're called dilators, which come in different sizes. Same thing with the jade eggs. Jade egg come in different sizes depending on the how much you room you need, and how strong those muscles are in your vagina. So there are ways to remedy. So you don't want to get too uptight about that. But what I mentioned at the beginning of this is estrogen as the inhibitory hormone. So there's a theory out there that like I said, the estrogen is there to get you out and about, increasing your sexual desire, especially during ovulation, so you can procreate and keep the species moving. But it also happens at a time of a woman's life where most women, me included, was in their people pleasing mode, the not speaking up, the almost putting the masks on to blend in and be who people want you to believe. And this could correspond to that hormone, meaning like you don't want to, if you're out there, your body wants to procreate, it doesn't want to be ruffling any feathers and having people not like you and stay away from you. You want to make yourself as pleasing as possible. So it makes sense that this hormone could have a slight effect on the way the woman presents herself in the world. It's not the only thing, but hormones are very, very powerful. And the reason why this is a theory is because, through my own personal experience in working with clients, I've seen as women start to transition into perimenopause, and especially in menopause, you get to the place of you do not give a fuck about a lot of things. All those things that used to bother you, or the things you might have said yes to all the time to please other people, you just don't do that anymore. And there's wisdom that comes with that. And it's also the time when the estrogen is decreasing and depleting in a woman's body, that she actually gets to be in the most empowered stage of her life, where she's realizing how quiet and submissive that she had been, and now is really stepping in, especially into her sexuality, which can cause a lot of upheaval in her current relationship. And that's why there's people like me, sex educators, sexuality coaches, to help women and men and couples move through this huge transition stage in their sexuality into something that's really, really liberating and free. And it's really a time where women really start to reclaim their pleasure, reclaim how they show up in in their sexual relationship, not only with a partner they might be with, but with themselves. So another theory about how some women can go through and be in menopause and still have a lot of sexual desire, and they don't have any pain during sex, and is the fact that most of these women have done their work to become more embodied in their body, like being more aware of their body, what's going on. When things are off, they feel off because they know what it feels like to be on. It feels like for their body to be really healthy and in balance, not in balance, but in balance, in wholeness. So when things are, if the body's experience an infection or some kind of imbalance, they are better attuned to it. So these women tend to have an easier transition into menopause and still maintaining a higher level of sexual desire, because if you can and still are having pleasurable, fulfilling sex, then you're going to, in turn, desire that more. So when I spoke before about, women in their 30s, early 40s, heck, even in their 20s, is to become more attuned of what's going in and on in your body. And unfortunately, and I had many, many years on birth control pills myself, being on a contraceptive like that, it doesn't really help you get in tune with your body, because there's an interference frequency going on there. There's a unnatural chemical in your body that is changing your body. So you are not able to really get the clearest messages. And also, with the birth, especially in my only experiences with the pill, and I'm sure it happens in the other ones, because this is how it stops pregnancy, and the ovulation and dropping of the egg is altering the estrogen. So it actually tells your body to stop producing estrogen. And my thought and my own personal experience with that is that the longer you're on it, the more detrimental effect it can have on your hormonal balance. And when you do get off of it, your body's just not used to producing that hormone anymore. And the body is a beautiful thing. It heals itself, and eventually it will catch up. But to what other effect on the body? Because a hormone that's out of balance affects other things in the body. It affects other organs. It affects the thyroid. A lot of women have thyroid problems. I've diagnosed myself with an autoimmune with the thyroid, which I have been healing over these years. So maybe it was affected by this way that my body was told not to produce a certain hormone for several years, and this is what happened. I don't know. I am not a doctor. I'm just acting on personal experience and theory at this point. But I think the main thing comes down to is, one, do what you feel is the best for you in your situation, but also know that these things can occur, and the importance of these certain hormones and things that you can start doing for yourself to go into your later years a very vibrant and healthy sexual being. That's my wish for you. That's my wish for everyone. So thank you for taking this time to be here with me, and I look forward to connecting with you all next week.